Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of my weekly program, Double Standards. Now, I was today not even double-minded, I was multi-minded to pick up one topic for discussion for today's program in Double Standards. And I was overwhelmed by 5 major events that have taken place recently in the last 2-3 days. They are taking place right now, and they would be taking place in the next 4 or 5 days. Now these 5, by the time I appear in my next program, these 5 events may have shaped the world, given new direction to the world politics. And I thought in the morning that I should do this program on the recent summit on Palestine and Israel dispute hosted by the French President François Hollande in Paris. And they discussed there the two-nation theory, the two-state formula, two independent state formula, that Palestinians should be given a right for self-determination and they should have their own independent autonomous country as Palestine. Now exactly it is a recollection of what we had in the first half of the 20th century in the Indian subcontinent. We had the two-nation theory expounded by the great Muslim leaders of that time, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, the educationist, Allama Muhammad Iqbal, the thinker and political philosopher, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Quaid-e-Azam, who fought the case, who pleaded the case for the Muslims of subcontinent for an independent state. So the first half of the 20th century was dominated by the political theory, and later on that provided a conceptual framework towards partition of India and Pakistan. So 2 new states, they emerged on the map of the world, India and Pakistan, Islamic Republic of Pakistan and Republic of India. So these 2 new states. Now on the model of that, what François Hollande, the current French president, he hosted a seminar, and that dominated the world political scene. The global media covered that quite amply, and they but on the side, when it was heard by Benjamin Netanyahu, the maverick prime minister of Israel, who does not give respect or honor to international law, United Nations, rule of law, and whatever the international community thinks about Palestine in the region as key to peace in the Middle East. So he doesn't care for that. So he lambasted François Hollande and all the leaders who came and attended that summit that was recently concluded on the high tone, on the high note that the Palestinians, they must be given an independent country. So this was an event, really, it's worth discussing, because our ethnic media in London, the television channels from Pakistan, they haven't covered that, this event quite in a substantial manner. So I thought to do a program on that. But then I thought there's yet another important event that is going on, which is opening from tomorrow onwards at Davos. Davos is the popular resort in Switzerland, about 150 kilometers from Zurich. So the World Economic Forum is hosting its periodical summit discussing the world economy and finance of the world, state of affairs of the people living on the planet. So it's a 4-day summit which is starting from tomorrow onwards until 20th of January. So I thought to do a program on that. But then I said there is yet another important event that has recently been concluded, that it's rather as important as any other event could be of this week, is the exit of President Obama from the Oval Office and arrival of the new president, Donald Trump, who would be taking over in about 4 days from now the Oval Office. in the White House as the new US president. So I thought to do a program on that, because by the time I appear in my program next week on Monday, President Donald Trump must have spent already 3 to 4 days in the office. So I thought to do that program on that. But then there was another important event that was in my on my radar, and that was an event which is taking place next week on the 23rd of January. That is taking place in Astana, the capital of Kazakhstan, where the Syrian rebels, the Syrian opposition leaders, they are congregating to decide the future of Syria. So another approach to resolve this internecine conflict in the region, which is really a huge, a massive imbroglio, which is a big flashpoint in the region, holding again the key to the peace in the region. So I thought to do a program. But all these 4 or 5 programs, when I discussed with myself, and there was a 6th program that came up, was about which a lot has been said. The Pakistani media, the international media, they have covered this event quite extensively, but still it is shrouded in mystery. It's still a riddle. It's still a maze, a labyrinth, and no one knows how this will unfold in a couple of weeks' time or 3 weeks from now. And that is the future of General Retired Raheel Sharif. What is he going to do? So there's so many diametrical reports we are seeing in the international media. The television has covered it. The print media has covered it quite adequately. But there are certain gaps. One day we listen to a news story, and by the time the sun sets on the same day, the story takes a new turn. There is a hierarchy of rebuttals, hierarchy of counter narratives, and the next day comes and new story unfolds on General Raheel's future. Now, before I start on this intricate subject, that what would be the future of General Raheel Sharif, will he have to decide himself his future, or it has to be circumstantial compulsion for him, or circumstantial development, which would be more important in this case, that how General Raheel Sharif will come out of this chaos. Now, before I start that, it reminds me a great saying of a great historian, a renowned philosopher, jurist, and political theoretician of the 2nd century AD with the name Plutarch, who has written extensively the volumes he has written on governance, on morality, on politics, on ethics, on law, on international law, on war. So he has written almost on every subject we study today. So Plutarch, the 2nd century Greek great philosopher, great man of letters, he said in his book Moralia, that has been translated into more than 17, 18 languages. In Moralia, he writes beautiful sentence, and that is, it is better to be a hammer than to be an anvil. So this is, we have to call General Raheel Sharif, either he is a hammer today or he is an anvil. Is he the strike, or is he the one that is facing the brunt of that strike? That's a big. So General Raheel Sharif, until 2 months ago, was the most powerful man in Pakistan, who was the real in charge of political, military, and social decision making in Pakistan. But after 29th of January, 29th of November last year, he became completely irrelevant to Pakistani politics and Pakistani social development. So he became a civilian, and it is always said, till the time an army chief is holding on to his boots and he is in uniform, he is the most powerful man. But the day he retires, he is not even worth a colonel's staff. So General Raheel Sharif had his 40 years of service, 4 decades, almost half a century of illustrious career. A career that was marked with success, progress, development, triumph of a person who is in military uniform. Interestingly, let me draw an analogy that when he joined the Pakistan Army as second lieutenant, he was passed out from 54th Long Course from PM Kakul in 1976. At that time, General Muhammad Ziaul Haq was the army chief. So Raheel Sharif joined as second lieutenant when General Zia was the army chief. And after 40 years, when he retired on the 29th of November 2016, these 40 years, they tell the story of a campaigner, of a fighter, of one of the best infantrymen, one of the best infantry soldiers the Pakistan Army had in its last 69 years of military history. So General Raheel Sharif, he retired with honor, with respect, and a lot of admiration to him. But the thing is, his future, after 40 years of service, when he retired, his future is as confused, as uncertain, and as chaotic as the third government of Muhammad Nawaz Sharif as the Prime Minister of Pakistan. So there is a stigma with this political party and with this quasi-phony political leader that whosoever is associated with him. Now, General Raheel Sharif was appointed by him in the year 2013 in November when General Kiani retired. So he was picked up. He was handpicked by Muhammad Nawaz Sharif as the Prime Minister. So he appointed General Raheel Sharif. But whosoever is associated with Muhammad Nawaz Sharif, his future becomes uncertain, chaotic, and shrouded in uncertainty. So General Raheel Sharif today, he seems as confused as Muhammad Nawaz Sharif himself is. So what a pity, a battle-hardened and combat-tested soldier who was Chief of Army Staff in Pakistan for 3 long years. He retired with integrity, dignity, and honor. And he maintained that honor throughout his 40 years of service. When he retired, soon after his retirement, right from the 30th of November 2016, the media, the Pakistani media predominantly, and the public, they put him on the gauntlet run, exactly the same way as in 1918 when the First World War was concluded and the Treaty of Versailles was signed between the losers, which was Turkey, Bulgaria, and the camp followers, and of course, and Germany on one side, the Central Powers, and the Western Powers led by Britain, France, and United States. So the Treaty of Versailles, when it was signed, the 2 plenipotentiaries who came from Germany as the losers who had to sign this, who had to capitulate and sign this agreement in 1918, the Treaty of Versailles, with the name Muller and Bell, these 2 plenipotentiaries. So when they came to sign, they had to run the same gauntlet as General Raheel Sharif is running today. Beg your pardon. So when they came, there was a very notorious clause of the Treaty of Versailles, which is called Article 231, which is called the guilt clause. By that, the entire responsibility of triggering the war was put on Germany. So they had to sign that under the dotted line, and they capitulated. So exactly the same way today, General Raheel Sharif is running the similar gauntlet. So there is no guilt clause, but certain people, certain political commentators, certain political practitioners, they say in Pakistan quite vehemently quite overtly that General Raheel Sharif, he fought and won the war on terror called Zarb-e-Azab, the name of the campaign he ran in Pakistan for about 18 months or so. So some people, they say in Pakistan, he won just half of the war. He won the battle, but he did not win the war. The war was still unfinished business. And the argument that is put forward by the opponents, by the critics of General Raheel Sharif, they say that he did not touch upon the terrorists hiding in the safe havens in south of Punjab, where the military action wasn't launched at all because it wasn't approved by the government of Punjab, run by the younger brother of the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister himself. The Interior Minister did not approve that. The Law Minister in Punjab did not approve that. So more than 4,500, allegedly more than 4,500 terrorists, the big planners of the Punjabi Taliban, who are affiliated with Daesh, who are affiliated with Al-Qaeda and the affiliates of Al-Qaeda and Daesh. So these strong people, they are hiding. They have the weapons. They have the know-how. They have the command and control right in South Punjab, in about 20 leading tahsils and districts of southern Punjab. So that has not been touched upon. The Corps Commander Bahawalpur, the 31st Corps, and the Corps Commander Multan, the 2nd Corps, they wanted to launch a military action in South Punjab, but the federal government, the Supreme Commander of Pakistan Armed Forces, Muhammad Nawaz Sharif, the Prime Minister, he did not approve that. So many reasons for that I would not touch upon. I have to remain within the scope of my program for today. So that remained an unfinished business, as the people, they are skeptical about Raheel Sharif. But if he exerted pressure on Nawaz Sharif could not say no to it. But that pressure wasn't exerted in a real manner. So the other strong argument which is put forward by the critics, rather by a very large number of the Pakistani political elite and the masses included, that General Raheel Sharif did not touch upon. He adopted and followed a celibacy to counter the economic terrorism. He had the plan. He handed over one lieutenant general, one major general, serving career officer, outstanding officers, and several brigadiers and colonels. He handed them over to the public, and he dismissed them from service, putting a precedent that perhaps the political leadership in Pakistan also follows the suit, and they also sack and disqualify the people who are neck deep in corruption, malfeasance, and venality in Pakistani civil bureaucracy, as well as in the parliament, the politicians, the parliamentarians. But Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif did not do anything of that. So economic terrorism wasn't touched upon. So it is rather now there are reports that as National Accountability Bureau is spineless, the Federal Investigation Agency does not have cojones, and law enforcing agencies that are mandated to counter corruption in the country, they haven't done anything. So it's a zero-sum game. So nothing has been done in the last 3 years on fighting economic terrorism. So that business remained completely untouched. So, but when we say, even if when we sing praises of General Raheel Sharif, that he fought the war on terror quite successfully, he wasn't alone. He wasn't alone. He had the team. It was the team that provided the required cooperation, support, and backing physical, operational, ideological backing to General Rahil Sharif to ensure that Zarb-e-Azb was fought successfully, and it was. So when General Rahil Sharif plans, or he is compelled, or he is acquiesced to accept the title of the Supreme Commander for the theoretical expression, which is 34 nations, Muslim nations, military alliance, if he accepts to take over the command of that, will he have that sort of team which he had in the general headquarters in Pindi? Now, without these 5-6 senior military commanders, General Rahil Sharif could not succeed in his war on terror. So, let me name them. The person who was the corps commander of 11 Corps in Peshawar, General Khalid Rabbani, who spent 10 long years, or maybe more, in the strife-torn province Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, where the Taliban, they had taken 50% of the territory almost. So General Khalid Rabbani, he spearheaded the operation. He militarily fought, and he was directly in the line of fire in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So he fought that war for more than 3 years, as long as he remained the corps commander. And even before that, he commanded the division, infantry division over there, and he commanded infantry brigade over there as well. So 10 years of service by General Khalid Rabbani. So without that support, General Rahil Sharif could not think about fighting this war. The other person was General Ishfaq Nadeem, who first as DGMO and then as CGS, he provided that support to General Rahil Sharif to ensure that the battle is launched and the battle is won. The other person was heading the counter-terrorism department within the Inter-Services Intelligence as a 2-star DG counter-terrorism was General Naveed Mukhtar, who also played his best role towards gathering intelligence and launching the counter-terrorism strategy very successfully. And the other person who really provided his support was in the military intelligence called Major General Sarfraz Sattar, when he was DG military intelligence. And these are the people. And then again, General Amir Riaz. Amir Riaz was DGMO. So he provided that support to General Rahil Sharif. Without General Bilal Akbar as Major General DG Sindh Rangers. So without these 6 senior military commanders, General Rahil Sharif could not achieve an iota on Zarb-e-Azb. So I'll discuss that in details, and I take a short break, and when I come back after the short break, the telephone lines would be open, inviting you to participate in the program with your comments or ask any question. So we take a short break.